Hey guys, how's it going? Well, I'm out here in the garage. It's still kind of cold out, but I put my shock absorbers on the A-arm front suspension the other day, and as it turns out, the springs that I have are pretty damn tight. The way I set that suspension up, it needs to sag a lot, so it was holding the bug up way too high. So I ordered some lighter springs. So while I'm waiting for those to come in, I figured I'd work on the front skid plate for the bug, since I think I've got all the materials here that I need. I've got some construction paper laying over here for my template. I've got a sheet of aluminum that I picked up last time I was at the scrapyard for it, and I've got these tabs that I bought from Car Tech last week. These are meant for skid plates and whatnot. They have a 5/16 by 18 threaded insert already put up in there, and they're notched out to be connected to round tube and to be flush mount, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So for what these cost, they were either $2.99 or $3.99 a piece. I couldn't turn it down because it's going to save me a lot of time. So let's go over to the front of the bug, look at where we want to mount the skid plate, and figure out how it's going to go. So here's the front of the bug down at the ground level. My skid plate is going to run around this triangle. I think it's going to go right to the middle of the 1.5-inch tube here. Then it's going to follow this radius around. The bottom of the chassis here is 2 pieces of 1.5-inch tube welded together. And then it welds to the back of the chassis there. So I've got 3 inches here. However, I really kind of want the skid plate to be a little bit wider than that. So I think I'm going to make it maybe come out to about here. I don't think I'll go all the way, because I know that this is going to be a little bit of a ledge when I do that for dirt and rocks to pile in, and I don't really want that to happen. So I'll have 3 inches and then maybe 1.5 inches on each side. So maybe I'll cut a template out that makes this piece 6 inches wide, and then I'll cut another template with this piece. I'll tape both those templates in place, and then I'll tape those 2 templates together, and then I'll probably look and see what looks to be the best places to put the tabs in. So I think that's my plan. So starting now, I think I'll start working on the templates. Here I'm out on the side of the house, plasma cutting over the gravel. This is actually a pain in the butt because that gravel's on a little bit of an incline, which makes it real slippery. But I can't really plasma cut too close to the concrete because, number one, it makes a big mess. Number two, if I do it over the concrete, it'll stain the concrete. Now when I plasma cut, it leaves a pretty nasty, dirty edge. I mean, it's straight, but it needs to be ground smoother. So that's what I'm doing here. And then you can see I'm running out of daylight towards the end. As I'm forming it here, I'm realizing that the top bar is actually set back about 1/8 of an inch from the 2 vertical bars going up front. So in order to make that a smooth transition from the vertical bars to the horizontal bars, I realized that I needed to break about 2 inches of the top so that when it
was flat on the 2 vertical bars, it would also lay flat on the horizontal bar. So now that I've got it broke, you can see the break a little bit towards the top there. Now I'm noting where I need to notch the corners to make it a smooth transition from the vertical bars to the horizontal bar. And now that I've got those corners marked, I'm lopping the ears off in the hand shear. A lot of going back and forth, back and forth. Now I'm dry fitting it again, and I'm realizing that I need to cut a little bit more off. And actually I did run back down to the basement and cut more off. I didn't show that in the video. And in this picture here, you can see that more of those corners are lopped off. So what I've got there now is a good fit. Now I'm clamping it in place exactly where I want it to be, so that I can take the tabs to the backside, hold them where I want them to be roughly, and mark where the holes would go. Now down here in the basement, I'm going to take those points that I transferred, I'm going to use the square, and I'm going to make everything equal distance off the edges and centered and just symmetrical so that everything will look squared up. Once I have those points, then I'm going to make a little prick mark with the center punch, and I'll use that little dimple that the center punch makes to line it up with the hole punch. Now all I have to do is line up the center punches with the little dimple on the hole punch, and I'll get nice, clean, accurate holes for the bolts. Here's me just showing you what it looks like with the tab bolted in place and how it's going to brush up to the tube. Now I've got the bolts in there holding the tabs in place. I've got masking tape on the back of the skid plate to protect it from the welding when I tack weld those tabs in place. So I got the vice grips on there, holding it where I want it to be. Now I'm running around with the welder and just getting 2 little tack welds on the back side to hold those tabs exactly where I want them to be. Then I'll take the skid plate back off and then solid weld everything from the front side. I'll clean up the tack welds a little bit. Now I'll start solid welding everything. I like having the carpet on the concrete there, working on the bug for when I'm crawling around, but it gets a little stinky when you're welding because some of those bigger sparks will fall down and burn into the carpet.
Here's the end product of the skid plate. Like we talked about, comes up to the halfway point of the tube here. Halfway point of the tube's on the side. It stays 1 inch wider than the 2 tubes going down underneath. It's got 2 5/16 bolts here with the flanges back there. When you get to the back here, right now I've just got 5/16 screws holding my skid plates on back here, but at another time I'm going to be tapping those all for I think 10/32 or 1/4 inch button head screws. So for now that's just got a 5/16 in it, but that'll get upgraded. These bolts along with, or especially with these up here, will I've ordered some stainless steel 5/16 button heads that I'll put in there to make it look a lot smoother. I spaced these 2 bolts out so that a license plate will bolt right in here. So when this is on the street, I'll be able to bolt my license plate on here and have it hang on the front skid plate. Inside here, you guys can see that are my tabs that I welded on the inside. Just like I showed you. On the tubes that run down the middle, like I said, they stick out an inch past the tubes. I'll have to see if this becomes a problem with debris settling in here. I do like that it's a little bit wider, so I'm going to stick with that for now, but I'll cross that bridge once the bug is up and running if it just packs too much crap in here. I don't think it will, because around here on the trails I'll be on, it'll be just a light dust, but I'll play that by ear. I'm real happy with it though. I think it came out real nice. So hope you guys like it. Thanks.